You're watching From the Heart with John Willard.
Hi friends, John Willard here, gentleman poet, storyteller, and NACA contributor, back for another show and more bone-chilling truth. Friends, I'm sure you've noticed we have a different background, and that's because we're at the CNA Fest conference in Little Rock, Arkansas. I sure wish you were here because some of the stories, some of the speeches we've heard have been so inspiring, and we are so excited about our CNAs and the hard work they do, and I hope you all consider our CNAs because most of us at some point in our life are going to be depending on them. And since we're here, we've been kind of reviewing some past shows and some of the questions that people have asked about shows in the past. And some have asked about the title of the shows, like From the Heart. Where did that come from? And I always said that I felt like life lessons are stored in the heart. And I always thought too that that's the only way one can see rightly, is from the heart. Now some ask about the poetry because so many of our shows in the past year have had poetry, and of course our title, The Gentleman Poet, as you all know. And how that came about, I had a terrific, I should say horrific childhood growing up. It was just almost unbelievable. Beatings, cursings, sometimes to the point of unconsciousness. So I was always looking for a hero, and I looked for the heroes in poetry. I seemed to find lots of heroes for me in the poetry. And the poems are very long, but I'll do part of a couple for you. One of the poems, well, both the poems are actually 3 pages long, but I'll just do 1 page for you since they're so long. And the one that I've always loved, that's been close to my heart because it speaks of a hero, is The Mantle Amon by Edwin Arlington Robinson. And this will give you a taste or an idea of why I was always looking for heroes in poetry. And it goes like this. The Mantle Amon from God knows where, with firm address and foreign air, with news of nations in his talk and something royal in his walk, a glint of iron in his eyes, but never doubt nor yet surprise, appeared and stayed and held his head as one by kings accredited, erect with his alert repose about him and about his clothes. He pictured all tradition hears of what we owe to 50 years. His cleansing heritage of taste paraded neither want nor waste, and what he needed for his fee to live, he borrowed graciously. He never told us what he was, or what mischance or other cause had banished him from better days to play the prince of castaways. Meanwhile, he played surpassing well a part, for most, unplayable. In fine, one pauses half afraid to say for certain that he played. His mien distinguished any crowd, his credit strengthened when he bowed, and women, young and old, were fond of looking at the Mantle Amon. Now that gives you an idea of the kind of heroes I was always searching for. Another one that I'll just do 1 page of is Gunga Din by Rudyard Kipling. And it's like, you may talk o' gin and beer when you're quartered safe out here, and your scent a penny fights an Aldershot it. But when it comes to slaughter, you will do your work on water, and you'll lick the bloomin' boots of 'em that's got it. Now in India's sunny clime, where I used to spend my time, a servant of Her Majesty the Queen, of all them black-faced crew, the finest man I knew was that good old grinning, grunting Gunga Din. He would dot and carry one till the longest day was done, and he didn't seem to know the use o' fear. If we charged or broke or cut, you could bet your bloomin' nut he'd be waitin' 50 paces right flank rear. It was din, 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 you lumpin' lip o' brook dust Gunga Din, though I've belted you and flayed you, by the living God that made you, you're a better man than I am, Gunga Din. Now, that kind of gives you an idea about the poetry. And the other thing that we did a lot of our shows about was character. And this reminds me of Naka also, because I always thought of character in the western coast of the United States. There's huge red cedars, very tall, very beautiful. And most people don't realize that their roots are very shallow. What makes them stand is each other. Their limbs touch. They lean on each other. And that always reminds me of Naka, because Naka's philosophy is, if one is missing, it leaves a hole. And I always thought of what Jeff Wellman always said, that there's no unimportant people and no unimportant jobs. So I just love that story about the red cedars and how not one of them can stand alone. That was so impressive. And some ask about so many different things that we don't have time for, but I'll try to leave you with this poem, which is very humorous. I love this so much. And it's important for all of us to live, to remember to live, because there once was a very cautious man. He never laughed or cried. He never cared. He never dared. He never knew why. He never dreamed. He never tried. And then one day he passed away. His insurance was denied. They said since he never really lived, they claim he never died. I just love that. That was one of my favorites. I thought that was so humorous, because we don't want our insurance to be canceled. So let's remember to live life to the full and do the best we can. And friends, since we're here, I'm gonna sign off, and I sure wish you could be here and hear some of the good speeches, some of the good programs. It's just so enjoyable. And like I said earlier, please remember our CNAs. They work so hard, and most of us are going to be relying on them someday. So until next time, friends.